Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Oh My K-Drama channel, the best drama summary channel on YouTube. Today, you will be surprised by this summary, so I invite you to subscribe to the channel now, as we are very close to reaching the milestone of 1,000 subscribers. Help me achieve this goal. Subscribe now and enjoy the video. Solji is an orphan girl who goes to a prestigious school where only the richest and most beautiful students in Korea go. They are obsessed with perfect beauty, and in fact, they all wear super expensive Gucci bags. No one pays attention to her because she wears clothes from a rural school. Then she meets you, who is the queen of the school with perfect grades, and all the girls admire her. Solji never imagined that they shared a class, and the teacher tells you to choose whoever she wants as her desk partner. The students get excited, hoping to be chosen by the goddess of the school. To everyone's surprise, you decides to sit next to Solji, the marginalized student. She introduces herself in a friendly way, but Solji believes she is hiding something, and their relationship does not start well. After that, one of the girls offers Solji money to switch seats. Since Solji is poor, she accepts. At that moment, Yu enters the bathroom looking for her partner to have lunch with. The girl smiles excitedly, believing it's her, but to her surprise, Yu grabs Solji's hand and takes her away. As they walk, the girls murmur, surprised that Yu is with such a poor girl. Solji asks Yu to let go of her hand, but Yu refuses. Not only did she personally choose her as her partner, but she also chose her to join her group of friends. They don't accept her in the group, although in the end, they obey Yu, who is the absolute goddess. Here we discover Yu's story. We see that her father is a rich man, the owner of a hospital, but he is obsessed with perfection. He wanted his daughter to be number one in everything even before she was born, so he made his wife give birth on a specific day to ensure she would have good luck in life. All the fortune tellers said she would be very successful in life, and since she was young, she was talented both in her studies and in sports. Her mother was proud of her, but her father wanted her to be number one. He became very demanding, and when she gave a wrong answer, he punished her by hitting her so she would learn to be the best. So Yu grew up unstable and started dating all kinds of boys who just wanted to get into her bed and touch the curves of her body. However, she kept her guard up and never let the boys go all the way. Over time, she started attending parties and became the prom queen while smoking cigarettes. This made her desired by everyone due to her mysterious aura. However, a girl with bangs warns her that anyone who stays by Yu's side will not have peaceful days. After that warning, Solji decides to switch seats. When she returns, Yu asks why she did that. Solji lies, saying she is nearsighted and can't see the blackboard. Yu responds that they could have switched seats together. When Yu realizes that Solji is not being kind to her, she goes back to her place, very angry. Then the students laugh at Solji's old uniform. She decides to buy a second-hand one since she has no money for a new one. The next day, a bully obsessed with Yu sees her uniform and decides to pour strawberry juice on her. He also says that her blouse smells like poverty and that even if she tries to act like a queen, she will always be a blessed poor girl. Everyone laughs at her, and this mockery reminds her of the days when she suffered terrible bullying. Now, she understands the warning from the girl who said that whoever was with you would not have a peaceful day. So, Solji goes to clean her blouse. Suddenly, Yu hugs her with the aim of relieving her stress and gives her new clothes, but Solji rejects it. Believing this will only bring her more problems, she asks you to stay away from her. Yu feels disappointed by her words and, very angry, throws her blouse on the floor and leaves. Then, Solji is forced to continue carrying everyone's dirty clothes while Yu laughs. In the cafeteria, she discovers that her classmates are talking about her on their cell phones. Fed up with the provocations, she steals a girl's phone and discovers that someone anonymously posted a photo of her buying the secondhand uniform online. Some former students of the school keep insulting her in the comments, and she asks who secretly spied on her, but no one answers. Her life at school becomes a living hell, and to make matters worse, she discovers that the only way to pass at this institution is by taking a private class outside the school because that's where the exam questions come from. This is unfair because she doesn't have the money to pay for those classes. So she goes with Plan B and decides to sneak into the class, but she is caught. The teacher treats her like a tramp and relentlessly chases her. Miraculously, Yu finds her and gives her her hat to help her go unnoticed, causing the teacher to lose track of her. After that, Yu continues helping Solji and takes her to her family's hospital, where a doctor gives her some suspicious pills. Then, he opens the closet and gives her the new uniform he had prepared for her. Then, he tells her to take off her clothes, and Solji can't refuse. She starts to undress until Yu notices that Solji has a scar near her chest, a scar caused by the bullying she suffered at her previous school. When Yu discovers that Solji has been through a lot, she gives her her tie, although she doesn't give her shoes so that she won't run away afterward. Solji seems sad because she's going to fail school, and Yu shows her some stolen test papers. She thinks about giving them to Solji in exchange for her sharing her study method. Suddenly, they hear the voices of some girls and hide in the closet. It turns out to be Yu's two friends, who start saying horrible things about Solji, laughing at her for being an orphan. Yu smiles at Solji so that she thinks they're no longer talking badly about her. However, Yu's phone rings, and her friends begin to suspect that someone else is there. The friends approach the closet, and Yu sends Solji a message saying she's waiting for them to study. Yu then runs to meet them so they won't suspect anything, giving Solji time to escape. However, at that moment, Solji realizes that the doctor who performed the negligent surgery in which her father died is Yu's father, which changes their relationship. The next day, Solji approaches Yu in class and offers to sit with her. To her surprise, Yu accepts, and there's significant tension between them. The class nerd gets jealous of their relationship. When the student council president election arrives, everyone expects Yu to be chosen, but she asks for Solji to be president, which causes a huge stir. No one can contradict her word because her father is powerful and they fear him. Laner gets angry about it, and Solji tells him to accept the defeat. Since Yu helped her, now Solji must fulfill a wish. Yu's wish is for Solji to accompany her to karaoke because, although Yu is popular, she has few real friends. Solji starts getting closer to Yu, and then Yu takes her to her mansion, which is so big it's worth millions of dollars. There, Solji sees that Yu has a small dog that scares her, but Yu calms her down by saying he's very obedient. The two continue walking together through the mansion until they reach Yu's magnificent room, where the magic happens. Suddenly, the little dog brings a princess dress, which is the same dress Solji wore when her parents disappeared. She tells Yu about her past as an orphan, and Yu responds that she's very brave for sharing that story. Then, Yu devotes herself to making her laugh. When suddenly, he takes off his coat, and this surprises Solji, who looks away. While he is taking off more things, out of embarrassment, she goes to take a shower and imagines that Yu gets into the water with her. The two start playing with the foam, and she gets so embarrassed that she doesn't even know where to look. Yu is sweet to her, and after a few jokes, she tells him. She gives him a passionate kiss, which of course is a dream, and it keeps her from sleeping. When she sees some suspicious messages on Yu's phone, she opens them and discovers that there's information about her from when she was a child, and Yu knew she was an orphan. So she wonders what Yu's purpose with her is. The next morning, Yu couldn't find Solji in her bed, and she doesn't seem worried because she secretly installed a tracker on Solji's phone so that she knows where she is all the time. So she happily walks into class, but what she didn't expect is that Solji now hates her and is dedicated to avoiding her. Yu feels hurt because Solji doesn't trust her, although the truth is that she has reasons not to. Then the teacher hands out the essays, and Solji discovers that hers is missing. Yu goes crazy, shouting for everyone to find it, and discovers that there's an essay on every desk. Yu grabs them from everyone's hands because, in the essay, Solji talks about how much she suffered in her childhood. Yu promises to find the culprit, but Solji tells her not to pretend to be good because she sees that she's mean. Solji finds a recording of Yu humiliating a classmate. In the video, Yu threatens to tell everyone that the girl uses illegal substances to study better. The girl kneels in fear while begging Yu not to say anything. Yu humiliates her even more and says that if she transfers to another school, she will erase the recording. Solji doesn't like that she behaves this way. Instead of feeling remorse, Yu feels proud because the girl in the video was the bully who had been harassing her. Then, seeing that Yu is a little crazy, Solji asks her why she has information about her and her father at her house. Yu arrogantly prefers not to answer. Solji tells her that it was Yu herself who put the essays on everyone's desks on purpose so that they would know that Yu's father was responsible for her father's death. Yu is surprised by Solji's intelligence. At the same time, panic sets in at school because many girls start menstruating, and this affects their ability to study. In fact, the nerd becomes very worried, and her friend surprises her with a hand massage that relieves her pain, and they become friends. However, Solji runs out of her magic pills to study, which reduces her confidence. The doctor can't give her those pills because they're illegal. So she looks for an online dealer and buys them illegally. They arrange a meeting point, and when she sees him, she discovers that the seller says that selling them earns her some extra money. She says it's not allowed to meet with clients, but when the seller realizes that it's her, he makes an exception. Unfortunately, he informs her that the pills are gone, and he has to give her an even stronger one. When she takes it, she starts having very wild hallucinations. Even so, they help her concentrate, and she does so well on the exam that she ranks first along with Yu. The two share the podium, and this makes all the rich students angry with her. They had spent a lot of money on private lessons, and a poor girl outperformed them. They can't accept this, so they turn her into the target of ridicule. Solji lowers her head as she walks away sadly. At that moment, a mysterious young man greets her, and she's afraid someone will see him, so she asks him to leave. But Jenny thinks he's her lover. The two meet in a mall, and we discover that he's a former colleague with whom she used to steal things. He threatens to expose the truth if she doesn't give him the stolen pills. He gives her a week to return them. To make matters worse, she discovers that they're going to conduct a medical exam to see if anyone took substances to cheat on the test. She knows she will test positive because she took the pills. So at the hospital, she escapes to the rooftop, where it seems like Yu is about to jump off. Solji grabs her, but Yu doesn't move, remaining between life and death. Solji kneels, begging her not to jump. Then Yu, with surprising calmness, says that what she really wants is for her stepmother to withdraw the complaint that her father filed for medical negligence. Solji agrees, but in return, she asks Yu to help her pass the medical exam. So Yu gives her a completely clean urine sample. Yu tells her that she will always take care of her, and also emphasizes that she's very happy they tied for first place at school. Then Solji gathers the courage to switch the urine in the tube. While everyone is sleeping, She hopes no one discovers her secret as she thinks about you. That's why they go to a school party together, and Yu's father no longer likes their relationship because he thinks Solji is a bad influence on his daughter's future. That's why he starts talking to her, and Solji confronts him without fear, saying that he is to enjoy life and tells him to shut up. Yu finds it funny, and for the first time, she feels free from her father's control. The two play in a ball pit and laugh wholeheartedly, but her father gets angry with them and asks Jenny to steal Solji's phone to find out more about her. However, in the meantime, Yu ends up with Jenny's phone and sees a video of a man and a woman in a compromising position. They turn out to be Solji's father and her own sister. She believed that her sister had run away to study because that's what her father had told her. Now she realizes that he lied to her. At that moment, a person wearing a cap enters, and she is shocked to discover that it's her missing sister standing right in front of her. The two confront each other because her sister wants to delete the compromising video. During the confrontation, the phone falls out of the window. Her sister jumps after it, risking her life, but is spotted by a guard. To avoid revealing her identity, they flee. Meanwhile, Yu suddenly hears a scream and sees that Solji is in danger because a girl with long bangs, tired of the students, especially Jenny, believing they are the queens of the school, becomes full of rage and jumps on Jenny's back. She injures her arm and falls to the ground. Amid the chaos, she is also pushed and ends up being stabbed. People panic and rush toward the exit door, but the guard locks it until they find the sister. Then the injured girl is urgently taken by ambulance to the hospital, and Yu asks about her. She is shocked to discover that it's her father who has her. She knows her father plans to kill her and rushes off before he can do anything to her, grabbing her hand. However, her father cruelly orders her to stitch Solji's wound herself. Although it disgusts her, she puts on gloves and stitches the wound. After recovering, Solji returns to school, unaware that the police are there investigating the culprit behind the stabbing. Solji is forced to testify, and the real culprit, along with his family, takes advantage of the pressure on her, since she's a poor orphan, to push her into accepting a deal before the trial. Since Solji refuses, they accuse her of selling illegal substances. She can't defend herself or hire a lawyer. Fortunately, Yu defends her, but her father appears and does everything possible to have Solji imprisoned for 20 years, claiming she's a drug dealer. Speaking of dealers, her former boss reappears and pretends to be her lover to take her away. He's interested in expanding his business in the country and asks her who the other leader dominating the market is, since the real dealer is Yu. Solji refuses to reveal the name, and the dealer becomes angry, mistreating her and forcing her to sell his pills without caring about her feelings. She becomes an object to be used and discarded. Fortunately, Yu manages to trick the dealer and saves Solji from his clutches. Meanwhile, the dealer chases a girl wearing a cap, thinking she's Solji, but it turns out to be Yu's sister, who is suddenly forced into an ambulance by two nurses. Then Yu's father appears as well. It's assumed that he kidnapped her. Luckily, Yu has a tracker and discovers that her sister passed through her house and stole her clothes. At that moment, her father enters with a sour expression, and she realizes that he's very nervous and angry. So she understands that her sister is still being sought after publishing the video of Yu humiliating her partner on the internet, along with an anonymous message suggesting that Yu is the leader of the pill-selling operation. The recording spreads throughout the school, and to make matters worse, the police appear there looking for the dealer. Then Yu feels trapped but fortunately comes up with a great plan. She shouts that her sister is the real dealer, knowing that she isn't there, and begs them to find her to protect her from her father. If her sister goes to jail, her father won't be able to hurt her. Solji understands her plan and thinks it's super smart. Suddenly, a call with a modified voice reaches her. The person says that her sister is in a nightclub in exchange for carrying the bag with the substance they stole. They place the pills in the women's bathroom and, while they wait, they hear a noise. Solji grabs the hose and fills the thief with water and, to their surprise, it's Jenny who took the bag. She confesses that she works for the dealer because her family is bankrupt. Her friends feel hurt by her betrayal and think about not talking to her anymore. Suddenly, they receive a call from her father saying they found Jenny's sister's body. When they go to the hospital, they find her dead with her face completely disfigured. At the same time, Solji suspects that this is not really her sister's body, as she never wore nail polish, and this body does. However, at school, rumors spread that you killed her own sister. Furious, Solji starts hitting everyone spreading this barbarity, while Yu has nightmares about her sister and blames herself for her death. Immediately, Solji goes to Yu's house and comforts her. But when she sees some pendants, she discovers that the rumor about her father and Yu's sister having a relationship was true. Furious, she starts throwing everything in the room, creating chaos that also reflects her emotional turmoil. Then, Yu stops her and hugs her, giving her peace. Everything indicates that her sister is still alive, and upon entering the room, Solji discovers thousands of mathematical formulas on the walls that her sister memorized every day. In her sister's diary, they discover the truth about her. It turns out that the sister was obsessed with winning her father's love and believed she could only achieve it by getting excellent grades. So she decided to steal an exam, but Solji's father, who was the teacher, discovered her, and she had to offer her body so that he wouldn't say anything. A few weeks later, her father discovered the relationship, and instead of being angry, he praised his daughter for having slept with her teacher to get good grades. So, she decides to talk to the teacher and asks for the entrance exam questions in exchange for revealing to him where his missing daughter is, who is Solji. The teacher refuses to believe her, thinking it's a lie, and so he threatened to reveal the intimate video with the student. Then, he put the exam questions in a capsule and swallowed it. When the capsule was removed from the student's body, the father decided not to stitch her up, which led Solji to suspect that he was the real killer. Then, the two discover that the sister is not dead, as she has a birthmark on her foot that the body didn't have. Solji disguises herself in nurse's clothes and enters her father's hospital while Yu deactivates the security cameras and returns to her sister's fake funeral so her father won't suspect her. Meanwhile, Solji enters her father's office and finds an X-ray of his body with a capsule inside, which means he operated on himself and killed the student. Full of rage, Solji decides to take revenge alone, and with a knife in her hand, she runs toward her father to kill him. Just at that moment, her stepmother stops her so that she doesn't ruin her future, and Yu hides the knife on the floor. It turns out that the stepmother also knew about her husband's dark relationship with his sister because she noticed the perfume on his clothes. They hand over the X-ray evidence to the lawyer, but she says the villain is too powerful to be brought to trial. So Solji decides to pursue him alone. Suddenly, a hand covers her mouth and takes her away. The person is Yu, who doesn't want to hurt her, but has a plan to lock up her father. Yu places many microphones all over her father's house, even on her dog's collar. She overhears her father saying that if the video of the surgery where he killed the subject is revealed, it will be fatal for them, so they hide it. Then he forces his daughter into the car while Solji leaves with his stepmother. They end up separated in body, but united in spirit, until her father shows her a recording that is inside Solji's car, which is why he has control over her. Cruelly, he makes her watch how they get into an accident. Yu cries in fear, and we see that the protagonist suffers a strong blow and is about to faint from anxiety. Meanwhile, the father shows you where he is hiding her sister, who has a device on her ankle that, if she leaves the set range, triggers an alarm immediately with a sound so loud that it connects to her head, causing her tremendous pain. Then the father tells her the truth and reveals that the real killer of Solji's father was her sister. She was afraid that the video of her intimate encounter would be discovered, so she was the one who dealt the fatal blow. All this time, her father encouraged her to kill him. Yu asks her sister, Hera, if this is true, but discovers that her father erased part of her memories to keep her under his control. She then tells him that he is a complete failure as a father. The father then grabs her by the neck, throwing her against the wall, and says that he did all this to prevent her sister's scandal from ruining her. Now you must become the perfect daughter that makes him proud, and she promises to do her best not to disappoint him. The next day, Yu says she's sick, which worries Solji. She searches every corner and finally finds her at the hospital talking to her father. When she tries to go up, a nurse stops her and won't let her pass. She is forced to wait outside, her heart pounding in her chest. When she finally sees Yu is cruel to her. In a sudden change of behavior, Yu says that she never considered her a friend or a sister and that, in reality, she was just taking advantage of her. Yu treats her like a servant and continues laughing at her, assuring her that only one of them can be at the top. After that, Yu leaves, breaking Solji's heart into 1,000 pieces. After a few painful days, Solji tries to prepare for the next exam, but she runs out of the pills that helped her concentrate. Because of that, she becomes weak and starts hallucinating that there's water everywhere, even imagining herself floating in the air. She goes to the exam soaking wet, and although she tries her best, it's clear that she fails every question. This allows the nerd to reclaim first place, while Yu and Solji drop to the bottom of the rankings since their minds were elsewhere. Yu then takes her grades to her father, asking for forgiveness for not achieving first place. Without even looking at the grades, he throws them into the fire, furious because they're not paying attention to the fact that her sister isn't actually dead. Yu goes to her sister's grave and steals her urn of ashes. A guard catches her, and at that moment, her father appears and offers her the answers to the final exam, something incredibly important to her, in exchange for her stopping the investigation into his daughter's death. After hearing this, Solji meets with Yu, who is just leaving the pool, and tells her what her father had offered. Yu tells her to accept it because the investigation is over. Solji doesn't understand why they're no longer a team. Then Yu climbs to the highest point of the diving board and threatens to jump. In the end, she does jump, and Solji decides to save her. As the day of the final exam approaches, the students prepare in various ways. However, above all, they take pills that activate their brains. Meanwhile, Yu and Solji continue with their distant relationship. They exchange cold stares, and by not talking to each other, they're hurting their own hearts. During this time, Solji's friend starts sneezing because of dog hair. Solji remembers that she doesn't have a dog. When she goes home, she discovers that she's been taking care of Yu's dog. Yu had told her some time ago that she was afraid that if something bad happened to her, no one would take care of her dog, meaning Yu was in mortal danger. Solji runs to the pool and finds Yu on the highest diving board. Fortunately, she manages to convince her that life is worth living and that they should stay together in this world. They leave their problems behind and become a team once again. Then, the exam committee places the school under strict surveillance to prevent anyone from cheating. Even when a soccer ball rolls away, they break it open to see if anything is hidden inside. Meanwhile, a spy pretending to be sick is taken to the infirmary, where they pass the exam questions to the doctor. The doctor, who is Yu's father, makes a cut on the patient's leg to alert the guards and says they need another doctor to bring the medication. It turns out that this doctor is also working for Yu's father, and he gives him the exam questions. Solji is placed in an ambulance, and they head to a remote location. However, in a betrayal to Yu, Solji tries to steal the exam questions and ends up swallowing the capsule containing the answers. Before this, Yu gives her an anesthetic injection to recover the capsule. With only 10 hours remaining before the exam, Solji is placed on the hospital table. Her father refuses to operate on her, angry that he was deceived, so Yu takes over the operation. After a few hours, she successfully removes the capsule containing the questions. However, the drug dealer appears, steals the capsule, and, in front of a crowd, auctions off the answers for an even higher price. The crowd goes wild trying to obtain them, and some even vomit from the stress caused by the exam. In a surprising twist, the father gives Yu the real exam questions, as he had secretly swapped the real ones with the fake ones. So, when the exam starts, all the students who bought the fake answers are shocked by what they see, thinking it's a joke, while Yu knows all the answers. Everything goes well for Yu, unlike Solji, who wakes up from her coma in the middle of the afternoon and discovers that she missed the entrance exam she had dreamed of for years. Yu is congratulated for achieving the highest score and is considered an example for the country, being praised both by the media and her school. In the middle of the celebration, Solji, with a serious expression, grabs her things from the table and leaves the room, hating Yu for betraying her. Meanwhile, Yu's father participates in an interview where he is congratulated for his daughter's success. Yu then sneaks into her sister's room, unfastens the tracking anklet, and puts a life jacket on her. Then, she does a live stream on Instagram so that everyone can see how she jumps into the river embracing her sister. This makes everyone believe that Korea's brightest student has disappeared from the world. After a few hours of searching, the police find her sister alive, but there's no sign of Yu. Solji can't believe it and screams her beloved's name, though, unfortunately, no one answers, which destroys her inside. After this, it is revealed that Yu's father was involved in selling illegal substances, and the surgery he performed on Solji's father is also exposed. Thus, he is charged with murder and immediately imprisoned. Then, 6 months pass and the media won't leave Solji alone, who continues searching for Yu everywhere. Meanwhile, Yu's father is released due to a lack of evidence and shows up every day at Solji's house to see if his daughter will reunite with him. Solji decides to stop taking the pills and focuses on passing the university entrance exam. However, that night, she unexpectedly receives a gift package containing the same school keychain that you'd given her as a symbol of their friendship and love. Solji starts crying with joy and then discovers a photo that makes her realize Yu is still alive and sent her this photo so that Solji could find her. The photo shows that Yu now lives in a house near the pier, waiting for her beloved. Moreover, she's far from the world for an obvious reason. The entire plan she had orchestrated was to destroy her father's reputation, primarily to save Solji's life. Solji had been her soulmate throughout this story, and that's why Yu was willing to wait for her until the stars ran out of light, because there are some connections in this life that ignite the fire in our souls. That was today's video. If you liked it, I invite you to leave a like, as this will allow me to make more summary videos for you. See you later.